We are back, and you're listening to the Critical Hour on Radio Sputnik. I'm your host, Garland Nixon, here with my co-host, Dr. Wilmer Leon.
Thank you, Garland.
The U.S. is considering reoccupying Haiti as history shows that occupation is the cause of Haiti's problems. The United States government is spearheading an effort to reinvade and reoccupy Haiti. Your thoughts, Kim Ives?
Yes, they've had this really since the emergence, I could say 2 years ago, in 2020, 3 years ago now, of the revolutionary forces of the G9 family and allies. They put the revolutionary forces on there in a year later, 2021. But the G9 family and allies is an alliance of armed neighborhood groups in Port-au-Prince, what the U.S. calls gangs, but they're actually a response to criminal gangs. Their purpose is to make their neighborhood safe from kidnapping, extortion, and rape. But they're also looking to overthrow the Haitian bourgeoisie and put in a new system, which, in the words of its leader, Jimmy Cherizier, is everything for everybody. And this has totally panicked the U.S. and the Haitian bourgeoisie, and they're doing everything to get troops on the ground to block this insurgency of armed youths who have a revolutionary program.
Professor Danny Shaw has a piece in SharePost, and that Garland just read the title of, and he says that U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, led the latest diplomatic anti-Haitian assault. She went to Brasilia to convince Lula to lead the multilateral effort. Can you talk about her attempts at getting Lula to do this and what his response to the U.S. request has been?
Yeah, so far, Lula, he was taken in once. That was back in 2004 when they did the intervention immediately following the overthrow, again, U.S.-backed, of former President Jean-Bertrand Aristide on February 29th, 2004. And the Brazilians, whom Haitians had adopted as their national soccer team, were seen as a perfect fit to be the lead agent of this intervention. And Lula, I hope, learned his lesson, because instead of getting a permanent seat on the Security Council, as he was bargaining for, or told he would get if he did something like lead this peacekeeping mission, he ended up getting thrown in jail, and his protege, Dilma, was kicked out of office, and the U.S. stuck it to him. And meanwhile, Brazilians earned the opprobrium of many Haitians who suffered under their assaults on some of the same shanty towns where the gangs and the armed groups fighting them are based. So I think it would be Lula hasn't come out one way or the other right now. He has a very, I would say, dumb foreign advisor called Amorin. Celso Amorin, who is probably telling him, yeah, let's do it. It'll work out. But I hope that cooler heads prevail in Brasilia and that they don't take it. I think the U.S. already feels that it's not going to fly, and that's why they're putting the real pressure on Andrew Holness in Jamaica, where there's going to be a conference this weekend. I think they're hoping Jamaica will end up being the best portrait to put in front of this occupation that they're trying to put together.
Danny writes, gang bosses in touch with representatives of the gangsters with ties far up in the exclusive mountainside enclaves of Pétionville employ young gangsters in flip-flops as their foot soldiers in the slums of Port-au-Prince. A lot of people really don't know. When they look at Haiti, they think of the poverty, but they don't understand that there is a very, very wealthy area, and that the wealthy area kind of puppeteers a lot of these gangs and kind of uses them for their own nefarious purposes. If you could talk about that dynamic of the oligarchs in Haiti that just a lot of people listening to this show in Washington, D.C. may have no idea about.
Okay. What people have to understand is that for years there was just one big gang for 3 decades, from 1957 to 1986, called the Tonton Macoutes, which just ran everything. They were the Duvalier father and son shock force. They were the fists, ears, and eyes of the regime. And when the regime fell on February 7th, 1986, a lot of them sort of went rogue and went into business on their own, and they would attack neighborhoods, and neighborhoods established what were called vigilance brigades. And those vigilance brigades protected against these Macoutes. At the same time, you have a lot of deportees, what are called deportees from the U.S., who maybe grew up on the streets of one of the U.S. metropoles, and they're sent back to Haiti. And many times, they're schooled in gang affairs here in the States, and so they become the leaders of gangs down there. Well, in any case, this confluence has created, with the debilitation of the state, which we've talked about quite a bit on this show already, due to neoliberal policies in Haiti, that created the perfect storm to create criminal gangs which kidnap, extort, rape, and do crimes against the people. And the response to it has been that of the G9 that I explained, where they say, no, you're not coming in here. You're not going to come into our neighborhood. And so the bourgeoisie has used these gangs to settle their scores, to guard their property, their warehouse, their banana plantation, whatever it is, and sometimes even to attack popular neighborhoods and get into power the politicians that they want to see. And this is where the G9 has said, okay, we're not going to be either helping with your elections, settling your scores with other bourgeois, attacking the people, committing any crimes. We're going to take the guns that you gave us to do that, and we're going to turn them on you. And the other federation that is more or less been used by the bourgeoisie is the GPEP. So the G9 and the GPEP have been fighting for these past 2 years. And the problem I have with Danny's piece is that he sort of equates the two, which is what the U.S. does. As I said at the UN to the Security Council, I said, you've taken the good guys and the bad guys and you put them in one basket called the gangs. Well, really what we see now, this new movement called bois calé, which is peeled wood, which was used for, basically a switch for disciplining children, has erupted across Haiti since April 24th. And the G9 is totally in support of it. They haven't been targeted by it. And yet the G9 has not been targeted, and they are in solidarity with it, whereas the GPEP, the criminal gangs, have been the one targeted by this movement of the population with machetes.
Haiti Liberté, your paper, has a piece, Jamaica, the Rendezvous of Shame. After everything that has happened in the country, the political class, under the dictates of the imperialist powers, have dismantled everything, ransacked all the institutions to the point of smearing the very face of the nation, continues to trick the people into all sorts of spoiled flour and poke fun at. Earlier this year, President Biden offered himself as a bogus benefactor alternative. What's going on here in Jamaica, and how does that relate to the problems in Haiti?
Well, the great truth that the U.S. empire has discovered after a century of experimentation is that looks are everything. And so they realize that they can't really come in while the two parts of the Haiti's ruling class are sort of feuding, that which supports Ariel Henry, the current de facto prime minister, and that which support a kind of the bourgeoisie éclairée, the enlightened bourgeoisie, which is called the Montana Group, and they're vying for power, and they're vying for Washington's benediction. And at the end of the day, Washington sees that they have to get these two groups together so that they will agree on letting Washington come in and take over and run the show. So they're trying to get, and we have a source in the Haitian Foreign Service, who explained to us that what Washington's trying to do is get a deal made in Jamaica between all the parties, but primarily between Montana, which is, again, the rival to Ariel Henry and Ariel Henry's government, get a deal, a consensus, and then the U.S. can say, okay, we're coming in to enforce this consensus. So that is what Berthony Dupont, our director at Haiti Liberté, was explaining, was that this is the first step. This is the show that they have to put on to show that all the parties are agreed, everybody's agreed that the U.S. should come in with, of course, Jamaica and Bahamas and Barbados in front, with Canada as well. And they'll put in a third military occupation after 30 years.
And it certainly appears as though, once again, they've put in some fake Haitian leaders. They put in some of their puppets so that they can say, hey, the Haitians were definitely well represented, and not mentioning that Haiti does not even have a popular elected government. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so this political class has no traction at all among the people. I mean, the most powerful public image, the public figure in Haiti really is Jimmy Cherizier, the leader of the G9, from my assessment, from being on the ground there, even though there's a lot of the bourgeois media, mostly radio stations, which have developed a fear or a hatred of him in some sectors of the population, particularly in the liberal class. But the people see him. His message resonates with them. And just like the Bolsheviks a century ago, his message is not talking about seizing the means of production or something. As the Bolsheviks said, we need land, peace, bread. And that's all he's saying. He's saying we just need schools, hospitals, roads, sanitation. We need to be able to live, and we need security too. We don't want gangs coming in and terrorizing us day and night.
Your piece, The Haitian Political Chameleons, summoned by the imperialist powers under the cover of CARICOM in their majority, are insignificant. I like that reference to political chameleons. Who are they, and why are they so ineffective? Well,
in CARICOM, there are, of course, whatever it is, 33 nations, perhaps. I forget the exact number, but the CARICOM is divided, and they're trying to take wholeness in Jamaica. Barbados and Bahamas are the other two who seem to be on board with the U.S. project, the U.S.-Canadian project, I should say, and are willing to offer their troops to be the front, the fig leaf, if you will, on this U.S.-Canadian tank that they want to bring into Haiti. So there are certain chameleons among the CARICOM nations who have said, oh, well, we think it should be a Haitian-led, this is the slogan they use, Haitian-led alternative. But, that's, again, just semantics. When they say Haitian-led, all it means is Haitians who will be a fig leaf on a U.S.-led operation. And then there's the matter of the Dominican Republic, which is right across the border from Haiti, shares the island of Hispaniola. They've been pushing hard for now 3 months, 5 months, for a foreign military intervention into Haiti.
Kim Ives is the editor at HaitiLiberté.com. Great website. I recognize going to it regularly, and it can easily be translated to English. You've been listening to The Critical Hour here on Radio Sputnik. Thank you for allowing our voices into your space. On behalf of myself and my co-host, Dr. Wilmer Leon, we hope you were informed and enlightened. We look forward to talking with you all tomorrow right here on Radio Sputnik. Be safe. Peace and blessings. We are out.